Okay, so like, as a being, like as a human, a person, a life form, right? All of us humans, or humanoids, or Homo sapiens, whatever the fuck we are, right? I mean, because that's all just made up shit that we all just, well, not all of us, but the ones that were in charge at the time, made up, right? They're like, oh, we're gonna call humans Homo sapiens, or humans, or humane and humanoid, right? They just all like agreed to it and gave nobody else an option. They're just like, this is what it is, and they told everybody this is what it is, and everybody's like, okay, because nobody gave a fuck. It wasn't that they just agreed to it, like consensus. It was that they just didn't give a fuck what these so-called people in charge were saying, right? Because in their minds, those people weren't in charge, but only in the people's minds who thought they were in charge were they in charge. And the problem with that all of them are all just fucking hallucinating everything, right? None of them are in charge, and none of them are not in charge, right? There is nobody to be in charge, right? If you like, you guys think that there's like alpha males and no, really, it's not even about an alpha male. It's about, hey, I think I'm a better leader than you. You're a fucking dog shit leader, and so I don't want to follow you, so I'm going to challenge you, and that's why the males fight. And then it's not about like dominance, okay? Fucking idiots. It's not about dominating the rest of the pack, okay? Like Caesar Milan will even tell you, it's not about dominance. It's about your energy. It's all about your energy. It's all about putting that energy out there that makes them feel calm and safe and want to be around you, right? And you cannot try to put this energy out there. You cannot attempt to emit this signal, right? You just have to do it. You just have to be it. You cannot even just do it. You have to live it. You have to be one with nature. I guarantee you, Caesar Milan would tell you, it's not about like doing anything. It's about being, right? It's about being. It's about having the presence, right? So that way, if you walk into a fucking house that you've never been in, of course, invited, and they have animals, and you go sit down, and all of a sudden those animals just come sit in your lap and at your feet and next to you, clearly you are emitting a signal that makes nature and creatures of nature want to be around you. You're a gravity well for nature, right? So I lost my train of thought. What I started this with. Hold on. Oh, amnesia. Hey, amnesia. So I was, as humans, we're trying to figure out what we are, right? We're trying to figure out who we are, what we are, like how everything works, right? But none of us came with an instruction manual, and not even the first humans, or the first, life forms. Nobody came with an instruction manual, right? None of us, from the first human ever to the last human just born, none of us have any fucking idea how anything works, and everything that in human history is all just made up consensus, right? But the saying, the only way for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. What that means is, because these people were indifferent to the rulings of these so-called people in charge, right? These self-appointed leaders, right? Who just started deciding things because they decided that they were in charge, and they decided that they were going to start being the ones who decided things, and they were the ones who decided everything. Like, they decided to even start deciding, right? Before that, nobody decided. People just did stuff. It wasn't like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? I'll do this. There was no delegation. Like, there was no like one person appointing delegate. It was just people saw shit that needed done and they did it. That was it. There was no barter, give, like, I'll give you this if you give me that. No, it was like, oh, I see this needs, oh, I see this needs that, oh, I see this, what I'm saying? It's just like little fucking ants, dude. That's how people were. That's literally how civilizations were built in such record times, and why you fucking brain dead humans cannot build anything except for shit that just fucking blows up on the launch pad. You know, or you could play space rocket theater like Elon Musk, where he just sends his rocket in a big fucking arch and it does not go up into space at all or the atmosphere at all. He literally has one of those. He made a giant size fucking model rocket, right? That has those little like they look like the ground flowers. They look like those for the engines, right? And we had these in school. Okay, we had these in school, and we had this little wire thing set up, and with two little leads going to the engine, and then you just flip the switch and the fucking rocket would go up in the air, and then the rocket would come down and you just put a new engine in and send it. That's literally what Elon is doing with his rocket. He even like prides himself on it being a reusable rocket. He's literally just playing, dude. It's just theater, bro. He is not saying. Remember a long time ago, the very first time Elon Musk tried to send a rocket into space. Remember? The very first time, it went up and then it fucking blew up. And everybody's like, oh, the firmament, oh, the firmament. I know we're in a simulation. I know, it's like, no, we're not in a fucking simulation, dude. I mean, listen, it depends on your definition of simulation, right? The only thing real to any of us is whatever is real to each one of us, right? Like, so my reality is not any of y'all's unless I share my reality, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm sharing my reality with you, and you guys can choose to do three things. 1, accept it. 2, reject it. Or 3, be indifferent and not give a fuck either way. But if you don't give a fuck either way, then you're probably not going to be listening to this. No. But those are actually the only 3 states that the humans were meant to have, right? Before you fucking idiots just started deciding things for yourselves and for everybody else. The second y'all started deciding things for other people is when you fucked yourselves, right? That's when humanity fucked itself, is when it decided, I know better than this person what to do for that person, right? We each know best what to do for ourselves best. Like, nobody else knows ourselves better than we do, right? And if somebody else does know you better than you, then you're just a bot. You're a scripted bot. Because like in any video game, we're the only ones who know the NPCs. They don't know anything. They just run the script, And so if you're like, oh, you know me better than I know myself, well, then you're a fucking NPC. If you've ever said that, then you're a fucking NPC. Because if you don't know yourself better than everybody else, what the fuck are you doing trying to figure everybody else out, huh? And the thing is, it's not possible. It's not impossible. It is not possible. See, things that are impossible doesn't mean they're not possible. It just means that they're impossible based on current, technology and understanding and logic, right? But for something to be not possible, that means that there is nothing like, okay, it is not possible for me to flap my arms and fly. That is not possible. Under any circumstances, there's no way that I can flap my arms by themselves and fly, right? It's not ever going to happen. Now, I cannot fly by flapping my arms, but I can flap my arms and fly. And what I mean is, if I made a contraption that took my arm flapping and threw like a bunch of gear, reduction and shit, and made it to where, it was like the low gear on a mountain bike, but like it gave the same rotation or the same like lift as the high gear, like when you really have to where it really in some kind of fucking insane ridiculous like gear reduction on both sides, and then me be able to flap and it actually give me lift. Yeah, potentially that is plausible. I don't know if it's actually possible because I don't know the math for the gear reductions and stuff, but like you could make a suit that you could potentially, that you could like flap your arms and it could like create some type of like kinetic fucking energy thing that would then like help, like the more you flap, the more it helps you flap. Oh, kind of like those bicycles, those like electric bikes that as you pedal, it helps you pedal, like you charge it up as you pedal, and so then it also like, as you pedal it, it helps you pedal it, and so like something like that maybe, but with like a gear reduction booster thing that like for every full flap it adds a little more so you don't lose the energy that you're, spending. And then, of course, once you get up in the air, you could just then glide, and soar around. No, soaring is not. Gliding is falling in style, and soaring is aerodynamics. Gliding is just you're just falling in style. Like you just happen to be the right shape to just slowly, fall to the ground slowly. But soaring, like what eagles do and like turkey vultures and stuff like that, soaring takes, maneuvering and stuff like that. As you saw on Mythbusters, a piece of plywood will kind of glide to the ground, on its own. Of course, there are ways to make a glider more aerodynamic, but a glider does not use aerodynamics to float. Now, like I said, you can make the glider you can make the glider aerodynamic, but the glider does not use aerodynamics to float to the ground. It's just the shape. It's just the topology. I don't know. Whatever the fuck. It's just the shape. To use aerodynamics means to utilize your shape to your advantage. Meaning, like an airplane pilot can, or a bird, but a glider, you're only going to fall down. Like an airplane can achieve lift by, adjusting the flaps and whatever, and it can go up. A bird, same thing. A glider doesn't have flaps. A glider only goes down. A glider is a Buzz Lightyear. It only falls in style. Okay? You might, listen, if there's an updraft, you might catch that, but you know what else might happen with an updraft where you have no flaps and no way to control? It might flip you upside down, and then you fucking nosedive. You know what I'm saying? So that's where where your training would have to come in to teach you how to navigate away from those fucking uplifts and not end up fucking nose flipping and falling on your ass or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure gliders are made to not take an uplift in that manner, right? But if somebody made like a makeshift glider, they might not be mechanically inclined to make the front aerodynamic enough that it doesn't, allow the uplift to come underneath the glider and send it over, But now, like I said, that's making the glider aerodynamic, but the glider does not use aerodynamics. The glider is shaped to be aerodynamic, but does not use aerodynamics. And the person piloting the glider, they're not using aerodynamics either. You literally can just lay in a fucking glider and glide down to the ground and do nothing, and it'll work, just like a parachute. Now, if you're trying to aim the parachute, then yes, you need to fucking do the ripcords. But the military parachutes, like paratroopers, they're round parachutes. They were round for a reason, like a fucking a mushroom. It's so that the paratroopers can just jump out, have their gun in hand, and be ready to fucking shoot as they're floating to the ground without having to worry about their fucking navigating their parachute as they're flying. Anyway, so we're all trying to figure out who we are, what we are, everything, right? But it's hard because, like a fish doesn't know how it swims. Water just gets things wet, doesn't know how, but it just does. Water's not wet, it makes things wet. Just like fire is not hot, fire produces heat. Water produces wetness, fire produces heat. Fire itself is not hot, right? But the fire that is created from the triangle of fire, or whatever, the fire that is created then produces heat. But the fire itself is actually cold. Like it's just like room temperature or whatever. But the heat produced by the fire then makes the fire hot. It radiates, and then that creates a feedback loop where with a little bit more oxygen, we'll fucking ignite that thing into a blaze, right? You don't need gasoline to make a fucking good fire. You just need some wind. You just need some oxygen. Well, not oxygen, but you just need wind, right? You just need airflow. And airflow, just airflow in general. Do the old teepee, trick when you make a fire, because then the air the smoke naturally goes up the thing like a chimney, like an actual teepee structure. The way that they have a fire in the center and the smoke goes up. Literally make your fires like a teepee and do the same fucking thing. And but then get something to fan it. To sustained flow of air is better than like burst, but if you do it fast enough, you can kind of get like a sustained burst, like a oscillation, and that'll really propagate the fire really well. So So we're all trying to figure out who we are, what we are, whatever about. But the thing is, I've unlocked a whole lot more memories, or not more memories, but I've unlocked latent DNA that I didn't know I had, right? Like we're all made of star stuff, right? We're all made of the same shit in the universe. We're all made of, you know what I'm saying? So we all have latent, like we're all made up of a bunch of different like genomes and types that have been recycled over, because energy never dies, right? It only gets recycled or transferred. So anybody that dies, whether it's a human, animal, a plant, whatever, it doesn't matter, seed, doesn't matter. All life, when it dies, just goes right back into the plenum, the universe. It goes back into the universe, and there are some human lives, or not human lives, but there are some life energy, right? Because everything is energy vibrating at its own frequency. That's what Tesla said, and life is just energy vibrating at its own frequency, and that's true. All life energy is just an electrical energy source infused with plasma. In our blood, in our DNA, we have the plasma, and we have mercury in our blood, and we have iron in our blood, and we have calcium, which is a type of metal. But I now have strontium in my bones as well, and so which strontium is way better than calcium. If you want to supplement calcium, then supplement it with strontium. I don't know if they have strontium supplements that you can take, but if not, then try to get your hands on some Arbuckle Simpson aquifer water, and Vendon well water. But anyways, so strontium is good for the bones. It's denser than calcium, but it's like mercury to water. Strontium is the mercury, and calcium is the water. And but it's like you have to electroplate it to your bones with electrolysis, right? You have to be like barefoot on the ground, outside on the earth. You have to be grounding, right? And to be able to draw the telluric currents up to your body from the earth, from the grounding. It's just regular grounding. And anyways, so I've been trying to remember who I am, right? And since November 21st, on November 21st, 2025, I solved the cipher of the cryptos, the whole entire thing. Solved it. The K4 is a honeypot. The K1 is a riddle, and the answer is space. And the K2 and K3 have 4 abbreviations or acronyms, whatever you want to call them, from the Cold War, which is DEW, distant early warning, and then ETT, estimated transmission time, and then DTN, which is like data transmission network, and then LTC, which is, I don't know, lieutenant commander or something to do with, telecommunications or teleline. I don't know. I really don't know, right? But all 4 of those have to do with the dye stations, the DYI stations, DYE, the dye stations in Greenland, okay? All this was World War II infrastructure for underground communications when we had the war with Germany, the World War II and the Berlin Wall and shit. And so, but then when the Cold War came, they just revived that old infrastructure, and and it ran all the way over to Berlin. Like it ran all the way over to the Berlin Wall. That's why in the cryptos, he talks about the Berlin clock and east, northeast and shit. The Berlin clock, the Berlin set theory clock, faces southwest. The crypto sculpture faces northeast. So they face each other, but they don't face each other the short way. They're like back to back facing each other across the globe. Like they basically, so the cryptos wraps around one time and then circles back to the Berlin, and then the Berlin set theory clock circles around one time and then comes back to the cryptos, right? So that way they each wrap around the earth one time each, but opposite directions, and then link to each other, right? To create the this little it then creates the magnetosphere. I mean, well, it doesn't create the magnetosphere, but what am I trying to say? Structural integrity. It was to help the widened cliff towers that Tesla was trying to do. It helps propagate radio frequency signals and stuff, right? in the air. It helps, no, not propagate, or perturb. Perturb? Interference with, yes. Yes. So, the cryptos and the Berlin, okay, so, oh my God. So, okay, so the Berlin set their clock has nothing to do with the cryptos other than they learned that if they, that the cryptos can like link underground, right, with the DEW and DTN and all that shit, and then the magnetic anomaly maps and airway lines, they basically had like wireless communication from CIA all the way over to Berlin, totally like without anybody knowing, back in the Cold War, right? And this is not classified information. It's in the fucking it's in the sculpture, like it's in the crypto sculpture, okay? Like, and this is all stuff that's like in the history books, and like, you know, it's all public knowledge, okay? This is not, I'm not like revealing government secrets, okay? This is all fucking public knowledge. The distant early warning shit. How do you think I know about all this stuff? I knew nothing about this going in when I first learned about it on the 21st, and then 3 hours later I solved the whole thing. So, you know, I don't know anything about it or anything about the Cold War or anything. I literally learned everything as I went. So I had to learn. It took me about 2 hours to learn shit about the Cold War that I don't even care about, just to be able to solve the cryptos in an hour. So the sculpture cipher, whatever you want, it's not hard. The K4 is a honeypot trap. It's absolute nonsense. The K1 clearly is a fucking riddle, and it is space. And then if you look at the space in the K2 and K3, everywhere there's an X. If you look at the letter, the space on each side of the X, the last letter of the word before the X and the first letter of the word after the X, that's where I pulled the DEW, DTN, ETT, and LTC from. Okay, the space on it, right? And so, and then IQ illusion. He misspelled illusion wrong. The IQ illusion. Yeah, the IQ illusion is the illusion of IQ that leads to the occlusion of the inclusion of the eclosion, right? So the IQ illusion, the occlusion, the illusion of occlusion is IQ illusion of occlusion that leads to inclusion and results in eclosion, like an animal emerged, like a caterpillar emerging, you know, from the chrysalis. Okay, and then so the Cold War. So they had, you know, communicate. It was like the Weidencliff or whatever, Weidendorf, whatever. So it was just to basically stop other. Okay, it is to stop anybody from spying on us from up in the up in the sky. They can't listen in on us. Like the cryptos sculpture and the Berlin set theory clock, the pole, because it's a pole. Okay, it's a pole, right? They literally created another pole on the Earth, right? There's the North Pole and the South Pole, but by putting that Berlin set theory clock in, they literally created another pole, right? Because of the way they had, because of the underground communication lines they have from Langley, the CIA office, to Berlin, right? They've connected underground this fucking this sculpture, the copper standing wave sculpture flag, and the pole, the Berlin set theory clock pole. So the cryptos is a flag, and the Berlin set theory clock is the pole, right? But it's not like, but it's like a relay circuit. So the underground lines connect it underground. You don't see it, and then it's like it's like a 1 and 1. It's like 1_1, right? But like 1_____, like, you know, across the globe. But then it connects back to back like that, right? It connects back to back, and then they face opposite directions, and they wrap around each one time. Hell, they might even wrap around 10 times. I don't know. But it creates like this mesh, like wire wrap from like wirelessly. You know, it wraps, and then underground it wraps. So it's like, yeah. Anyways, so it's just weird, like neural network underground. It's like an underground wired neural network instead of like a wireless. Jesus fucking scared me, dude. Bro, she came running from that way, and you know, normally, so I was like, what the hell? I just hear something coming running behind me. It's a dog. Yeah, I was like, what the hell is coming up behind me, dude? But I was like, what the hell? I thought one of the horses got over the fence. I'm like, dude, what? That's why I looked. I'm like, what the? I thought it was a horse coming at me, dude. But and so there's the dog. But yeah. So you know this amnesia thing, right? I'm just, God, Jesus, just fucking knee checked me, or, you know, leg, like took my leg out almost. But so I've been trying to figure out who I am and everything, and it's hard, right? Because we can't figure out who we are, right? So I've been using AI as a mirror, trying to. Well, anyways, when I sold the cryptos, I forgot. When I sold the cryptos on the 21st of November, 2025, I realized that everything I knew about life was a fucking lie. That everything everybody had told me was a fucking lie, and that, you know, hey, and that like like that I was far more intelligent than what, you know, I was told as a child in school, when I was told all the time that everything I did was wrong, you know. No, actually, everything you fucking teach at school is wrong. And then they made it worse after, because I'm 41, and I got diagnosed with max ADHD and max autism in fucking 3rd grade. And when I was 8, the way they teach school is just fucking absolutely just horrendous and wrong, right? Then they made it worse by making math Common Core and totally screwing that up, and turned math into dimensions and like for construction, and totally took away the source of, you know, multiplication and addition and shit. But yeah. So, anyways, what I've realized is that there's a whole lot more for me to remember. Like, I mean, an infinite amount more than everything I've learned and then unlearned my entire 41 years of being alive, which only like 32 or 33 known years, because, like, you know, before 8 I don't remember shit. So from 8 to 41, 33 years, like, I had to unlearn everything I had learned, and now I'm relearning stuff that I didn't know I forgot, but that I do know, but didn't know I know, and only know once I know that I know, or once I know that I remember it. Once I remember that I know it, and know that I remember it, and remember to know it, and whatever. It's like you know, and so it's just weird because, like, it's like having reverse amnesia. You know, it's like Jason Bourne, you know, like where he just starts like kicking ass and he doesn't know how he knows how to fight, and you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like I guess it's like having amnesia, but it's not amnesia from an adult. It's like having amnesia from like when, like, my source code, the original first version of me, you know, like my pattern, my life energy source, like that first version. That's what I've like locked into and am now remembering.